Excited to be back for another episode. This is episode 4 of the podcast, if you haven't been keeping up. Before I go any further, no, Ronald is not here on this episode. I keep slipping up and not sending him the script. So I promise, Ronald, we're getting you on, and for everybody else, we'll have Ronald on. I promise. Been meaning to do that. Before I go any further in the podcast, Siri, I don't want you. Don't forget, we have our first sponsor, and that's who this episode is brought to you by, is TR Group Alex City. You got to check them out. TR Group is a car dealership in Alex City, where a good friend of mine is the general manager there. And I promise you, if you are in this area, around the area, even want to travel for a car, they will find the one you need and make sure that it's safe for you and a great deal, because they do a good job. So you can check them out at trgroupalexcity.com, or you can go to Facebook and search TR Group Alex City. You don't have to be sketched out by these car salesmen or this car dealership. They ain't going to play any games over you. You'll be taken care of, I promise. So, getting into this episode, first, let me just talk about, I'm just grateful this past week. Last episode started, I was talking about how rough of a day it's been. And on there, first thing I talked about was how my phone wouldn't charge. Like, you go to plug it in and it wouldn't charge anymore. And I was getting upset because then it made me, it died. I woke up late, got the boys to school late and all this stuff. So my guy, Nate, Nate goes to church with us. Listened to the podcast, heard it. Shows up at church on Sunday, Sunday, and gifts me with a lamp/wireless charger. So I don't have to plug this in anymore. I can just set it right on it, and it goes, whoop, it starts charging. You should have saw me the first night. I would set it, and I'd take it off, set it, and I was like, how in the world is it doing that? I had no clue. The government's probably stealing all of my information out of my phone. Who knows? But, Nate, I'm so thankful for that, and I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about my phone not charging anymore, because now I just lay it on there, and it charges. And so going into another part of grateful. So that started the week off strong. Like, I was so excited. Then, so let me just get a little in the personal finances situation. So our month for Katie and I are split up in half. You have March 1st through the 14th, 15th through the whatever the last day of the month is. Those are the pay periods. So everything in the month, bills and stuff, is split up into half. So there's something on the first half, something on the second half. Well, the first half of the month is usually little more stressful than the second half of the month. And so, for whatever reason, no clue why, March felt like, I'm talking about, it was March 3rd, and we said, is it payday yet? Like, we were just, I was stressed out. I'm a control kind of person. So I started to stress. I started to worry. I was like, oh, this is kind of making, not aggravated, but I'm like, don't know what to do. And with that, so I started paying bills, and I hadn't yet done my tithe for the month. So part of for the first half. And so in my head, something came in, it's like, hey, well, let's just make sure we cover the bills, and if we have enough money, we'll tithe what we can. Almost like I was trying to talk myself out of tithing and giving just so that I could afford to live. And this came up a couple of days, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. But finally, I made the decision that I wasn't going to let, whatever's happening keep me from giving. Because I've seen so many times in my life where even when the money was there or wasn't there, how faithful God has been, and He's always provided for us, that I wasn't going to let the one time I got super stressed keep me from still being a giver to God. So as soon as I made the decision that I was going to, or that Katie and I was going to still tithe, still give our 10% and all this. As soon as we made that decision, I kid you not, the next day we were eating and stuff, and God blessed us with some people in our lives that are generous, that just gave. And now the first half of the month doesn't look as stressful anymore. And don't hear me that, you pay your tithes and God gives you back money. Like, don't hear me on that. It's just funny how here I was at one moment not going to tithe at all because I was worried about paying my bills. But then as soon as I make the decision, you know what? No, I'm still going to give. God kind of swoops in, back door with some extra money and just makes a way. And so I want to encourage you, if you're on the fence, wherever you go to church, or if you don't go to church, you give to like some great nonprofits or something. I don't know. But if you go to church and you're not tithing, I just challenge you to jump in with it. I don't necessarily know what your bank account situation looks like. Like, it may be tough each month. Like, it may look like ours did this first half of March, where we're like, man, we didn't have groceries yet. But that's okay. If it looks like that, I promise you that if you just jump in, one, you won't be as worried anymore because you know it's in God's hands. And that I trust personally, for me, that God will always make a way. We always, in our house, we'll look at each other when money gets tight. And in a serious way, but also just to remind each other when we get distracted. One of us will look at the other one, Katie and I, say, Jehovah Jireh. And the other one will say, the Lord is our provider, because he always has been. And so, two, this is good too. Like, if you're giving 10% and everything's comfortable, and your pastors at your church are going to love this, everything's comfortable, why don't the next month you tithe, or the next time you tithe, add $20 to $50, something in there, add to it. And keep adding until you notice, because I bet at some point you've got a habit where you just give the same amount each time, and it doesn't affect you. But if you start to add a little bit each month and it starts to grow, one, you're becoming more generous. Two, you're kind of pushing yourself to give until it becomes uncomfortable. And that's a good spot to be, because then you're not only becoming generous in your giving, but then your generosity is starting to pour out of you in every other aspect of your life. Like, you'll start to notice, like, it's not just money, but you want to help somebody. Or maybe you want to go buy somebody clothes, drop it off on their porch. Like, you'll just want to be a generous person. So, I just want to share that story with you this week, because if some of you are going through tight situations, one, know that he is your provider. And Katie and I, we believe that 100%. He's always never missed a bill, never missed anything a month. Anytime we wanted to do something, we've been able to do it, because I know that God is faithful and he is our provider. And so you can be encouraged by that as well. So let me make sure. I want to get into this real quick before we get to the rest of the notes, because I really got to stick to my notes, because I'm scared where this may go. Boom. You know what it is. It's that Dunkin Donuts. But listen, iced coffee is trash. I'm just saying. I used to get the iced coffee all the time. Trash. Now, I told you last week, I think it was last week, my guy Zach told me about the Charlie. I said, what's the Charlie? Oh, they didn't put it on here this time. It's like 2 whole milk and something. It's a cold brew, but they put whole milk in it, sugar, and cream, I believe. But you can get this foam on top. See, I was getting it without the foam. Me and Zach weren't sure about the foam. But I got it with the foam, and I said, hey, you got to try the foam. But today, for some reason, I said, hey, I want the foam, and they put like cinnamon sprinkles on it. And it changes the game. This coffee is so good. If you go to Dunkin', you're looking for a coffee, iced coffee is trash, so basic, boring. Get something good. The Charlie. Dunkin', you better pay me for this promotion. I'm just kidding. The Charlie. The only thing I have a problem with is on the menu, when you're looking for it. Like, this is our Dunkin'. They have a big thing that says the Charlie. And then it has a little circle under it. So it says the Charlie. And then it says, get her favorite donut to pair with it. So, question. Am I drinking a coffee that's specifically for girls? Or should Dunkin' take that off? Because, one, I don't see how drink could be targeted towards girls. Like, why did it say, get her, just get a favorite donut to match their drink? I mean, I'm not one of the people that's, like, going to cause mayhem in Dunkin'. I'm just wondering, like, is this a girl drink, a female drink? Because I really don't care. I'm going to enjoy it and drink it all the time. I was just curious why Dunkin' would put that on there. The Charlie. All right. Episode 4, about to get into a little something. Look, I'm hoping for future episodes on that we have some guests on here and we talk about them and highlight some of their stuff, and those will be longer episodes. But for the next 9 minutes, 8, 10 minutes, whatever, I'm going to talk about this, and then I want to tell you about something SH Creative's doing that's really cool. So, if you know me, you know I love to golf. Like, it's one of my passions, hobbies. It's a passionate hobby. I enjoy doing it. Any chance I can get, I'll go golf. And two, it puts you on a golf course for, 3 hours to 4 hours. Oh, I got hiccups. 3 to 4 hours with somebody, so you can really have a conversation. You can really talk. It's a lot of fun. One of the first golf videos I started watching was this guy named Eric Anders Lang. And so he created this thing called the Random Golf Club, which its whole idea is for a lot of people to come together that never met, no matter what you look like, and golf. And so for a long time, golf has always been perceived as like a rich, old, white man sport. All the way from when it started to even in some cities now, when you go golf, it's nothing but these old, mean men that run it. And you have to follow dress codes. You have to play the way you want to play, or they'll get mad at you. They'll call the clubhouse on you. Any of that. Luckily, here in town, Point isn't like that. It's ran by the university, so there's a lot of college kids out there. It's very loose, laid back. Point, by the way, if we had some music jamming outside, boy, we could create a culture over there at golf course. Let me know. We'll work on that. Have a fun little, we can have events out there. Have some night golf, we'll get into that later. I've got some ideas, Point. Reach out. But something that Random Golf Club does, Eric Anders Lang, they have a slogan that says, all are welcome. Meaning, for golf, meaning no matter what you look like, no matter how old you are, no matter if you're really good or if you're really bad, they want you to show up to these events that he has. These randomly in towns, he have meetups where 60 to 100 people show up and you'll all play golf together. And if you know, most golf courses, they cut it off at 4. A group of 4 can go at a time, and then another 4 will go 10 minutes later. But he'll find courses that will agree to it, and you have 60 people all playing at the same time together, just having a conversation, social event, hanging out. Because they do believe, and they put it everywhere, all are welcome. And it had me thinking, boy, I'm always thinking, and I'm tied into church, so I'm thinking about church. This idea of all are welcome. And so, first, your mind may go to your church if you go to one. Well, everybody is welcome at our church. You look around, and it can be diverse at times, but unfortunately, church, and you've heard this before, is one of the most segregated hours of the week. And a lot of it's cultural, the way that people like to do stuff. And I get some of that. Then on the other hand, I think it's, I'm trying to be safe here. It's kind of unhealthy for us to be sharing this message of what Jesus looked like, what Jesus' services looked like, what he wanted the people around him when he was talking. It wasn't it was anybody. Jesus' whole theme was all are welcome. And that's the theme, really, when we start talking about heaven, and what he meant was that all are welcome. And one definition of welcome says gladly received. Right? When you get an invite to something, you're welcome to come. And so that's the whole idea of heaven. That's our job, is to be the ones that portray the message and make followers of Christ and give an invite out and gladly receive people into heaven, so we can celebrate one day in Jesus, because there will be no segregation in heaven. And so all this came about when I was just thinking about church, and I was thinking about segregation. I was thinking about racism, and how there's people my age where a lot of people are fighting for it to end. You had the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who did a lot for us. He did a lot to stop it, and then it's kind of like it just stopped. When he had passed away, a lot of people were still fighting, but everybody just kind of went on, and this is the way it's always going to be. But I don't want it to be like that. And I really, really think that if we can grasp it in church, all are welcome, then that's where it'll start. Because people that don't know Jesus, there's people that don't know Jesus that have a great heart that want racism to end. And I'm I'm all for it with them. But if the church is one of the largest organizations in the world, like Christianity, if we, because there's a lot of people that are Christians that say they're not racist, but deep down they have ties or issues or something that even a little bit make them racist. And that's inside Christianity, that's inside the church. And if we can narrow it down and just stop it, and I know it's not that easy, I know it's going to take time, but if the church can get this idea, all are welcome, man, how different would it start to look? Because when the church gets it, then everybody in there starts to trickle out. And then in your personal life, now as you're going about doing everything you do, it's no longer just about you, but now you've got an idea of all are welcome in everything that you do. And then your life becomes a personal little church where your group of buddies believe all are welcome. And then that splits up. And so I'm just saying this because, honestly, I'm going to say this. I was going to save this for the end, but I want to say it now. Is that I want my children to grow up in a world where racism doesn't exist. I want them to see everybody equal. And a lot of you are thinking, yeah, never going to happen, or yeah, I do too, but whatever. And I know it sounds crazy for like it just to stop. Like racism in America stop, because it's a mind thing for people. It's a heart issue for people who are walking in this just evil darkness that agree with that. And you're thinking, oh, they can't be changed. But here's what I do believe. In the words of Pastor Mike, Todd, and Ronald, who reminded me this other day when I saw his post, it's only crazy until it happens. And once it happens, nobody thinks it's crazy anymore. So why can't we believe that racism can stop 100%, right? And it may not, for my kids in their lifetime, it may not happen. But I'm going to be praying and believing that it does. Racism has to stop 100% in your home, in your church, in your group of people. Anytime it can't be tolerated at all. For something to be wiped out, there can be no tolerance for it. Like, it has to be shut down, and you can't be okay with people just kind of joking about it, because it's still there. Even if it's a joke, it's there. It has to be no tolerance for it, and it has to be taught. And I'm guilty of, for my kids, I'm sitting here saying I want racism to end, but I'm thinking, when's the last time I sat down and really talked to my kids about the importance of loving everyone around them and believing that all are welcome, right? I mean, I've told them, and they know that we don't treat anybody differently. No matter what anyone looks like, we're all equal. Like, I've told them that, but it almost has to be an every single day conversation. If we want something to change, if we want something to stop, this has to be an every single day kind of conversation in our homes and even in our churches. Pastors, we should not be okay with looking out and our congregation looking exactly like us. We should not be okay with it being just a little bit different. Like, you should want to look out and it look like something you've never seen before. Like, there's a bunch of different cities all came together and they're meeting inside your church. Different homes, different families in your church. You want it to look different. And I heard this one time, and this is huge for a lot of pastors who want that but don't know where to begin or what to do. I was told once that your audience, like the people that come to your church, will be a reflection of what your staff and leadership look like. So the people that they see up on stage on Sundays, if they see all white people, then your crowd, for the most part, is going to resemble that. But if they see up on stage a mixture of people, if they see a staff that's a mixture of people, if they see leadership that's a mixture of people, then that's going to pour into your church, and your church is going to start to reflect that. So if you're wanting this change, it needs to start with opening up your views of who you're hiring, opening up your views of your leadership, and making sure that everybody around you doesn't look like you. Right? That's how we can fix this issue. And I know this is kind of all over the place, and I'm about to wrap this up because I want to talk about Essential Creative. But in the church, we cannot tolerate it at all. In the words of Pastor Mike Todd, it's only crazy until it happens. And I'm believing, and I'm making this stand for my family, and even in the church that I'm a part of, that racism, one, will not be tolerated, and two, that we will do our best to make sure that our church, our city, looks like what heaven's going to look like. Because, we have the on earth as it is in heaven. A lot of that people, when we say that, people are thinking we just want the miracles. We just want the good stuff of heaven to come down. But if we want on earth to look like it is as is in heaven, then on earth in our churches, that needs to look like heaven. And right now, a lot of churches don't look like heaven. A lot of churches look like a single race. And so if we want it to be on earth as in heaven, then we need to start inside of our families and our churches for that to look like what heaven's going to look like. And that's an inclusive group of people that are all 100% different. It's only crazy until it happens. And I believe that my kids are going to grow up in a world where they don't even know what racism is because it's non-existent. I'm believing that by the time they're grown adults, they don't have a clue what racism even is around them because they're living in a world where people live by the motto that all are welcome. That's my prayer, and I hope it's your prayer too. And it's something we have to talk about and not tolerate. So here we go. Hey, SH Creative is giving out, we're having a giveaway, and it's actually this Friday, so you only have 2 days to enter. But this photo right here, boom, yeah, it popped up, is the giveaway we're doing. If you go to our Facebook, SH Creative Co., you can find this giveaway that we are doing. And it's a 3-foot by 6-foot banner plus a Easter package. The banner itself is $80. The package is one we sell online for $20, $19.99. So this is a $100 value for free that all you have to do is like the post, like our page, and share it. And you'll be entered to win this. And you can do it for your church. Like the pastor doesn't have to do it. You can just do it to enter it. And it just says, hey, Easter Sunday, join us. And this is us wanting to give to a local church in the area. But two, if you have banners or anything you want printed like that, let us know. We can design it. We can get it for you and have it done. And we can knock out. People love banners. We got you for banners. It doesn't have to be a church banner. It can be business, personal, birthday parties, sports, whatever. Just let us know. We'd love to print that for you. You can check us out at shcreativeco.com or find us on Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe. I enjoy doing these podcasts. We will have a guest on next week, I promise. All right. Thanks for the conversation. We'll see you guys next week. Boom.